course, we can't get very far without being able to define our own methods. We've already seen some examples of that here. We've got, say, the static pages controller. These methods were generated, these two, but then we defined an about method here. And then in this lesson, we've already defined a helper method. So this is using the def keyword for defining a method. So let's see how that works at the console. Ordinarily, you wouldn't define methods at the console, but for our purposes right now, this is convenient. So let's define a new method. Let's call it string message. What this is going to do is print out a message based on whether the string is empty or not. This is just, for example, this is not a great method name, but that's okay. This is just to illustrate a point. So it's going to take in the string, and I'm going to say the string has a default value of empty. So let's say if str, which is this parameter, is empty, then I'm actually not going to print it out. I'm going to return it. This will also return a string. Now, if you've used other languages before, you might expect something like this. You might expect that Ruby would return values by actually using the return keyword. And this will work. Ruby does support return, but it also will just implicitly return whatever the last expression is. In this case, this string, else this string. So you can end there and end the method. So this end ends the if else, and then this end ends the actual method. The output here is not important, and this is Ruby version dependent. What is important is that we've now defined a string message. Let's print it out. The string is non-empty, that's true. What about this? It's an empty string, that's also true. And what happens if we do this? So this is what happens when you give it no parameters, the default takes over. So since the default is an empty string, it puts out that it's an empty string. It's also worth noting that this parameter name, which I called str, is internal to this method. So we could have called this anything. As long as these two things matched, it would have had exactly the same behavior.